GenFriends. We're so happy to have you tonight watching us, and we've got this really great panel. We've got Laura Hedgecock from, we were laughing beforehand, I can't even think what everybody's doing from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
So glad to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We have got Melissa Barker, the archive lady. Hi, Melissa.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Good to have you here and your stack of books behind. We have Dan Earl, the family history guy. Hi, Dan.
Hey.
Good to have you here. Bernice Bennett is joining us. Hi,
Hello.
Bernice.
Hi.
And it's Genealogists, right? Yes. Always worried I'm not saying that correctly. And last but not least, only because she's on the bottom of my screen down there, Shelley Murphy, the family tree girl. Hi, Shelley.
Hi, good to be here this evening, and I'm trying out my phone for the first time on Zoom.
All righty, well, we can see you, we can hear you, so that's great. Now, if you notice, we have a special guest. For me, he's right in the middle of my screen, all the way from 3 o'clock in the morning, well, 3:10, 3:15 in the morning from Israel. We have Daniel Horowitz from MyHeritage joining us. Hello, we're so glad you're here.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you tonight.
We are so glad. You guys have the best things going on. All through June, you've got free records for people, a different record set a day. You've got record matches every day. I get these emails about all these record matches. I'm like, oh, I need more time. I need to do my own genealogy, not everybody else's. So lots and lots of things coming from MyHeritage. It's a great place to do your family history and put your tree and do your DNA testing. So we're so glad that you're here. Do you want to start out with talking about MyHeritage, or should we just see what our panel wants to ask?
Well, I will just want to piggyback on just what you said about records. And yes, June is all about records, and we have one and sometimes even two collections that normally you will need to pay the subscription. They're available for free, and you can go into the blog, the MyHeritage blog, that's blog.myheritage.com, to see which collection is available today. And it's the full day, and most of those collections are also exclusive to MyHeritage. And the advantage is that if right now you don't have an account on MyHeritage, through those collections, you will need to create an account, but it's going to be a free account, no credit card, no trials, no nothing, just totally free, and you will be able to see those records. And we also release lately, like in the past week or two, also a very good bunch of records. We have death records from Germany. That's 2.4 million records, if I'm not mistaken. And also a very interesting collection from Greek records. And I know that in a few weeks ago, you had here Carol.
We did.
Talking about those collections, and I was very excited watching it because I knew that those collections were about to go out. But it really very interesting story, because Carol came to me a couple of years ago in a Rootstock and said, listen, we have all those records in Greece and nobody wants them, and we need somebody to go there and digitize and transcribe them. We will help. I said, okay, so if you will help, we will do it. And we did it. And that is an exclusive collection that MyHeritage digitized and, well, helped digitize and transcribe it. And it's now already and available to all the public. So
that's fabulous.
Great. And the last collection, and just to show also how global is MyHeritage, we also released lately a collection of records from New Zealand. So it's not just records, is records from around the world, and we try to keep a balance between the different places. And when we go left, people complain from the right, and when we go right, people complain from the left, and then the up and down.
You can't please everybody.
But we try to open records and to get more records from all over the world, slowly but surely. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah, you've got a lot of record sets on there that you cannot, like you said, that you cannot find anywhere else, and everybody thinks that all these sites are the same, and they're just not. they're not the same. So.
And not only that, Cheri, but you were talking about the record matches.
Mm-hmm.
And with all these Greek collections and Russian collections that are coming and Hebrew collections, the global name translation that we applied for many, many years in the search engine, where you could search in English and get records in other languages, is now applied to the record matches. So it doesn't matter in what language you're building your tree or in what language the records are, we're going to find it for you and we're going to bring it to you as record matches.
Yeah, I think that's
So
fabulous.
That is also
nice.
a great advantage from MyHeritage, from the others.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, that's their roadblock, is because they don't speak the language and they just can't understand those records. And then they've got to try to, find somebody who could read them for them. And I think they get frustrated and just give up. So I think that's wonderful.
Well, you will still need to find somebody probably to read the whole record.
But at least you've got the match.
The name,
found it.
the name of the person, you will see that, yes, this is really your person.
Exactly. And if you can't read the language at all, you're not going to find that match to even see that they're there. So that's a wonderful
And MyHeritage
tool.
is pushing those to you, both by email and on the website. So you really don't need to search or look for them.
They're just
you just need to analyze whatever we are telling you.
Exactly. All righty. I'm going to open it up to this panel, this wonderful panel. Oh, Laura.
The
Laura
easy
being
question.
Polite.
I have the easy question.
I got a question.
Like at school,
Number one and number two. No. Since you are so aware of what records are used in which countries, I think it would be interesting to hear, what are your most popular record sets in the United States?
Okay, so in the United States, has to be the city directories.
Okay.
That we released during Rootstick.
Yes, my favorite.
And I also know why, okay? It's not just because you're finding your family in the directories, which is normally what you could do at the local library, at the Library of Congress, which has a huge collection also of city directories. But here we went the extra mile and we applied really artificial intelligence. So when do you find a record for a relative, it will show you all the years and all the directories where that person appeared.
Yes.
And then you can see, like, from the early ages when the person probably just put a small business up there for the market, and then he got married, and then he got children, and then he becomes a widow, or he passed away, and his or her widow continue with the business, and the business grows into the kids. And you can see all that in one record right there. It's all summarized for you. And you can just go through the different pages and see the different images. And it is really amazing. I am, unfortunately, I don't have family in the United States that old. So I'm not benefiting from this collection, but I have the opportunity to research for others and to search a few records there. And really, it's amazing what you can find.
It's true. I have used that record collection and I've used it to prove between two different people because of what you're saying. You see them all in one record group, and instead of flipping back and forth, you can compare them easier. And so that was really beneficial to me in my research. So I appreciate that record set.
Yeah, but you still need to use your own intelligence.
Oh,
because
absolutely, yes.
You will find gaps. And I was talking with somebody yesterday that she was complaining, like, but I find the guy from this year to this year, and then I have a hole, and then another record from that year and that year. What happened in the middle? Well, I don't know.
That's not your fault. It's not there. Exactly.
Oh, Daniel, I'm interested in the military yearbooks. And because my father is in a military yearbook, but the book that I have is really destroyed. So I want to know, do you all have military yearbooks?
I don't know. I do know that we have yearbooks, but those are
Yeah.
from schools and
Mhm.
universities, most of them.
Mhm.
And I know that we have military records, but
Mhm.
I don't know that we have military yearbooks.
Mhm.
So that would definitely be an interesting collection if it's
Mhm.
digitized or available even in print in some place that we can get to it and digitize it. Yeah, that should be a nice collection, but unfortunately, I don't think we have them.
Hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to read Shelley's question because she's having issues. So I'll read her question. It says, ask Daniel to explain about the search function on the site. Is it pulling from the DNA or from trees? Any tips on using it?
So the search is always records and trees, not DNA. We will tell you when the information is coming from another tree, and it could come from a MyHeritage tree or a Genie tree
Mm-hmm.
or a family search tree or a wiki tree.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 4 collections of trees that we have. Now, the MyHeritage trees are different because we know the whole tree and we know the administrator, and we will allow you to communicate with the person. In the case of family search, Genie, and wiki tree, those are treated as records. So you will be able to see the information. You can also extract it and copy to your tree as well and use it as a source without any problem. But you will not be able to communicate or to pursue that with the administrator of the trees. And then the rest are just records. And all in total is 12.4, 12.5 billion records that we have right now in our database.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Melissa, you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering about, I teach a lot of new beginning genealogists, and so I'm always pointing them in direction of online databases. What does, for a beginning genealogist or someone who's not familiar with MyHeritage and they are not quite ready to pay the subscription fee, what does MyHeritage offer for free?
Well, we do have a few collections that are free. One of them, and probably the most famous one, is the Billion Records. I'm sorry, Billion Graves Records collection. But yes, some collections are free. I don't know the rest of the one of those from the top of my head. The advantage is that you can always search, and we will tell you what we have. We will not reveal the information. Like, we will tell you, okay, so we found your guy, and we have her father's name, her birth date and place. And if the collection is paid, then you will decide if you want to pay or not.
What about the
And
trees? Are they free to set up a tree?
yes,
Yes.
anybody can either build a tree from scratch, and it has a limit to 250 individuals in the tree, which sounds not that many, but believe me, most of the trees, I would say, probably are below that number. And there is another trick, because MyHeritage accepts JetComs, meaning that if you have a family tree someplace else, you can export it and import it into MyHeritage in a JetCom format. And then it doesn't matter how big is your JetCom, it will go in. The thing is that if you're not paying, it probably is going to be frozen, meaning you will not be able to edit the tree or delete individuals or do any changes there, but the tree is going to be there and it's going to receive matches for all those individuals. And again, I also tell every time to the newbies or the new people testing MyHeritage, don't pay at the beginning, just try it, test it, see where the paywalls come, and see if it really pays for you to be a subscriber. Or, you know what, we may not have what you're looking for, and that's perfectly fine. But at least give it a try.
Right.
Yep. Thank you.
That's a great, nice, honest answer. Just try it and see if
And that's
I'm a
what I tell my
genealogist.
students too. I tell them to try.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Anybody else have a question? I was going to talk about DNA in a second, but I wanted to make sure. Does anybody else have a question? Bernice?
Yes, I just want to go back to the tree. Now, is there a place where the tree could just be a private tree because it's just something you're working on rather than public?
Well, you can set up your website as you wish. And by default, when you build a tree or import a tree, living individuals are going to be privatized, deaf individuals are going to be public. And by default, also, you are accepting smart matches and record matches and everything. So you are collaborating with other people. But you can go into the settings, and this is also something I teach people. Like when you are starting the tree, dedicate 5 minutes to go over the settings and make sure that the privacy settings are according to what you want. If you don't want to participate in smart matches, just tickle that out. If you don't want to invite people and then allow them to change the information, set it like that. If you want to put one person as an administrator and only that person will be able to change or do things in your website, once you're happy with that, then you can continue either importing a JetCom or keep on building it. So yes, you could go into the settings and say, take me out of the smart matches, make my website totally private. I don't want anybody peeking or looking or anything until you decide it's time then to start collaborating and or to start opening it to the world.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Anybody else? I was just going to mention the DNA story that they had on NBC. Was it NBC? Today was it NBC? I can't remember now. I think it was NBC.
The Today Show.
The Today Show. The Today Show.
Yes.
That was
that I know.
Did anybody see that? Oh my gosh. Did you see it, Dan, where the woman had been separated from her daughter during World War II, and all her life she had been looking for her daughter, and she went to her grave not being able to find her daughter, and asked her other daughters to help and keep searching, and through DNA testing through MyHeritage, oh my gosh, she found a niece. They found a niece living in the UK, and they had their reunion right on the Today Show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we'll put that link on the blog post. Everybody, you've got to watch it. It was amazing. Yeah. That was amazing. I love that y'all do that. You will make sure these stories of reunions get out and film them and talk to the people. The stories are wonderful.
And I can tell you that that's just one of many. And unfortunately, not everybody wants to share. Thanks God that they were able and willing to share, and they haven't met yet. So everything, because of the corona,
it was all,
everything has been virtual, okay? And
yes,
they don't know when they're going to be able to see each other and hug. But I think, like, personally, that story is very significant, because being a Jew and an Ashkenazi Jew, and hearing all my life the family saying, oh yeah, everything was lost in the war, nobody survived, I'm alone in this world. And now they are realizing that that is not true. That they have family out there, and obviously not everybody survived. There were a lot of people that perished, but it's possible to reunite those families, and MyHeritage is reuniting those families thanks to the DNA. And one of the biggest advantage of MyHeritage in this part is that we are selling DNA almost in every country of the world. So that is how we managed to connect one person in the US and the other person in England. As easy as it seems on the show, but also, and if you go to the blog also, you will be able to learn a little bit about the research that our team did, because they had a match, and they had probably thousands of matches and a niece. So they wanted to know the whole story. And the people, the researchers on MyHeritage actually went and followed the path of this girl, the baby, that she was brought to Israel, and she was putting in adoption here in Israel, and then the family went to England and they established over there, and they have photos and they have records and they have everything, and they provided that to both of Denise and aunt. So yeah, it's very significant, and I'm very happy, and that it will be probably one of the best things of working for a company like MyHeritage, besides being able to see the future, to see what's coming up. And yes, you already know that we are going to have a very big release in just a few hours or days.
We
can't say anything, but also knowing, and especially I have the pleasure and the honor to be in conferences and to meet the people, not only you guys, but also the regular users, the regular John Doe walking the streets, that they don't do genealogy for a living as we do, and hearing their stories and knowing that we are doing a difference in their lives, that we're finding families for them. We have done this with adoptees. We have done this with people that were looking for their biology families, and they are actually finding them through DNA. So it's just very easy. You need to test. And if you have tested, just test other people in the family. And as a genealogist, I have to say, put your DNA in as many places out there as you can. And that is another advantage, because if you have tested with another company, MyHeritage allows you to upload that test also to MyHeritage. So you don't need to pay to do another test, or in worst cases, the person that you tested is not alive anymore because maybe he tested 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years ago and the person already died. So still you can download that DNA, upload it to MyHeritage, and find matches that you will not find any other place. And if not, just wait a little bit and I'm sure we will get you the match that you're looking for.
I'm sure. I've had, I've had lots of different matches on there, like you said, that just, they didn't show up anywhere else. And because you never know where your family is going to test. We can't, assume that they're all going to do it in the place that maybe, everybody else may be testing there. That doesn't mean they're going to test there. So, and they may have seen a sale or been to a conference and bought this kit or that kit on sale. And so we just don't know where they've tested. So you're right. We need to put our DNA everywhere.
And another very important issue or thing, especially with MyHeritage, with the DNA of MyHeritage, please make sure that you have a family tree, or at least your ancestors, your pedigree tree, together with the DNA, because the tools will allow you to evaluate that pedigree, those names, those places. And it will be much easier for both, for you and your match, to be able to find how you are connected. And even for MyHeritage, we have a wonderful technology called the theory of family relativity, which is based on family trees and records. And we are going to give you the possible path that will connect you and your match. But if we don't have a family tree, we don't have the starting point.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to say impossible, because there's not such a thing of impossible, but definitely it's going to be way more difficult to find out how you're related to other people. So just bear that in mind.
Yes. I think a lot of people do the DNA and then they don't realize, if I don't have a tree, how am I going to connect with people, and how are they going to connect with me? Go ahead, Dan. Were you going to say something?
Oh no, just that I've had some theory of relativity matches where they've only gone back maybe 2 generations on their tree, because maybe that's all they know. But then that's enough to connect them to somebody else's tree that connects to somebody else's tree, and my tree's 5 trees over. But there's enough information there to connect us. I'm like, oh, that's how that person's my 5th cousin. Like, that's great. and that to me is just really a really cool feature of MyHeritage is the way that they can link all of those trees and just like, well, this person and this person and this person doesn't absolve us of our responsibility to use our own intelligence, but it's just an amazing zip over there too.
But you must use your intelligence, definitely, because you cannot just get to a one John Smith and then they say, oh, sure, that's my John Smith for sure. No.
Because there's only one.
To analyze.
Because there's only one John Smith, right?
My John Smith.
Laura.
Yeah, well, when you're speaking of that, I wondered what your customer base is like and the number of people that are developing trees and looking for those matches versus the number of DNA customers you have that seem to primarily be interested in their ethnicity estimates.
Well, I can tell you that most of our DNA tests are not those who are tested just for the ethnicity.
Okay,
that's great.
The DNA user base that we have are actually people that are looking for ancestors, that are looking for relationships. Yes, definitely we will have also some of those that are only interested in the ethnicities and concentrating on the 1% Nigerian that MyHeritage is telling them, right? Instead of the other 80%, whatever. But I can also tell you that lately, the average age of the user is going down. When I started genealogy, I remember I was like the very kid in the reunion. Everybody could be my grandmother over there in that meeting. And today, you see more and more young people, 50s, even 40s, okay, starting to build their family trees, starting to be concerned of where and how they're going to pass that information to the future generations. So they are doing the right work. And by the right work, I mean they are looking into the older people to collect as many information as they can and concern and taking care to pass that to the younger generations eventually. Because right now, still kids, they are not into family history, genealogy, unless you have like a criminal in your family or something like very shocking and interesting.
Right.
But regular people, no, you will need to wait a little bit for them to be involved. But yeah, it's going down. Also, I think the use of mobile devices are helping a lot. Like the fact that you have now the information available in your phone or in your laptop or in your tablet, and you can do research 3 o'clock in the morning without any problem. You can go into an archive and you can search for records and you can get the images. That is also bringing younger people into the genealogy world.
The night owls.
Yeah, the night owls, right. That's really cool that you're seeing those numbers go down. I like that statistic. I think that's wonderful. That's a good sign for all of us that maybe somebody will take over, take our stuff, all of our stuff.
Please.
Please take our stuff. Absolutely. I was just thinking about the younger generation. Just this Saturday, I took my son to his great-grandparents, I think of the right generation, great-grandparents' home where my mom's cousin lives, and he'd never been in there before. And he was loving everything that he saw. He was able to hold a gun that belonged to my grandfather's grandfather. He was, all this stuff. So I'm hoping that maybe that would trigger something in him that he's going to want to continue learning about, his ancestors. The chicken coop, where my mom's always told the story about how the chicken, the rooster pecked her and her grandfather got rid of that rooster so he wouldn't peck her again. The chicken coop is still there, all the stuff, the radio that my mom listened to when she was a kid sitting on her grandfather's lap is still there. So things like that, sometimes I think if you'll take them on little field trips, we'll get them interested and they'll get in there and start wanting to look and research. So I'm hoping there's hope for this next generation coming up, right?
Yeah.
There's hope. Anybody else got any questions or thoughts or comments for Daniel? So we can let him go to bed?
No, please, no.
Do you have anything else you'd like to tell us? Is there something we didn't ask that you would like to share?
Well, just to talk probably about the latest technology and the latest trend that MyHeritage is also developing. And it's fun or funny because in all these years, I have seen companies that suddenly they focus on one thing and then they kind of put in the back burner or aside the main things that they were doing. MyHeritage released a couple of months ago this in-color technology that allow you to colorize black and white photos. And the same happened when we started to do the DNA. Like a lot of people were concerned, oh, you're going to that path, you're going to forget about genealogies, no more trees and no more thing. And no, like we just grew our tools or our box with tools, and we keep developing everything. We have this in-color technology for genealogies. We have a new view for the family tree. So now we have a fan view that is also relatively new. We keep releasing records. We keep improving the DNA. We will keep improving the photos. Okay. And we will try to do our best. So we are busy growing our tools. And the latest release that we did actually yesterday was 7 new reports on the health part. And the health is another thing that, you know, a lot of people were scared. They said, oh, you're also going that place, or you're going to forget about. No, we're doing everything at the same time. And thanks God, I think, and I heard people think also, we're doing good in all of the fields. So now we have 7 new reports on the health area of the DNA. And Laura was asking about the user base. Not a lot of people are interested in the health, but those who are interested are very grateful that you can combine the genealogy with the DNA and the health. Because, you know, every time when you go to the doctor asks you about your history and other ancestors that may suffer from this and that. Now you have a way to test yourself and at least to come to the doctor and say, listen, this is not definitive. This is not 100% medical test, but they may say that I am propense to suffer from this and that. And I have done my genealogy. And I know that, yes, Uncle Tom died from this and grandmother died from that. And you know what? Better to test me better in that specific area. So that's another area that MyHeritage is evolving and bringing new tools and new technologies and new products. And only God knows what Gilad has in his mind for next month.
Well, I have to tell people, if you haven't tried that colorizing the photos, it is amazing. And right after Rootstack and y'all were demonstrating that, I came home and I got my parents, my father passed away a year ago. I got out my parents' wedding photo, which of course is in black and white, and I colorized it and I took it over to show my mom and I said, what do you think? Is the flower, you know, on your dress the right colors? Everything look right? And she goes, wow, that's really close. So, and that brought back memories to her because she, I mean, in her memory, she's thinking of that black and white photo when she thinks of her wedding photos, right? And now she's seeing it in color again. And so I appreciated that very much. So if you haven't tried it, it's amazing to be able to, you know, take a black and white, and it brings out things. And I know some people, oh, we like the black and white. I like the black and white too. So you can have a you know, each you have the black and white original, and then you can have the color. But it seems like that color pops things out that you never knew were in the photo before, especially things in the background. Yeah. So I really love that tool.
And we also understand the importance of the historical pictures. That is why we don't discard the black and white, and we
Okay.
give you the opportunity to use both, and you decide what you want to look. If you want to look to the color picture, if you want
Yep.
to look to the black and white picture, and they all live both in the same space without any problem.
Which is fabulous, because then people can flip back and forth. But it is amazing the detail that it gives, you know, especially the things in the background that you never realized were there. And all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that street sign was there, or whatever it might be. It just gives it so much more depth, you know. So anyway, I really appreciate that tool, and been playing with it a lot. So, and my mom appreciates having that color picture now.
So you can always expect more from MyHeritage, and new things from MyHeritage, and I'm sure that in the months to come, we will come up with new tools and new fun things to do for genealogy.
And I love that, because like you said, if we can show people some fun things to do, we can get them hooked, right? Get them in there playing with some of the tools, and then we can get them hooked. Because what's the younger generation doing? They're doing this, right? They're playing and all this kind of stuff. But if they can get on these sites and play a little bit, we can get them hooked right in, right? Exactly.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, to get them hooked right in. All righty, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure to talk to you tonight. Thank you so much. You are a trooper. I mean, this man loves his genealogy.
I do love
almost
it.
Almost
I have
four.
fun. Yeah.
Almost 4. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for watching this episode of GenFriends. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.